Captain's log, star date, insert random number string. Wait, what? Insert random number string? I'm supposed to be recording my captain's log. Why am I reading off this script? I think I should also take this moment to clarify that I am recording a captain's log. My name is not Captain Slog. So, welcome back to Factorio Space Exploration with your host, Captain Zisteau. It's been a little while since the last episode, so let's have a brief recap. We have crashed on an alien planet. We built a burner base, we built a base builder, we built the starter base in which we are currently standing, then we launched a rocket into space, we unlocked a whole bunch of stuff with some rocket science, and after that point I started doing some theory crafting, some planning, some spreadsheeting to try to figure out how I wanted to handle all the complexities of this mod pack without just adding things randomly as we discovered them one by one in a chaotic fashion. And oh boy, does this mod pack get complicated. But I am happy to announce we are finally ready to resume the series. To get started, we need to do some preparations for what is to come next. We're going to need a lot of space for a large nuclear power plant to power our upcoming megabase, and we're going to need a lot of space for that megabase. We've landed on this planet, and we managed to get extremely lucky to land on one coherent island completely surrounded by water, which is extremely rare in Factorio. But beyond this area, I still have no idea what the rest of the planet looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time doing some exploration with my jetpack. I'm just going to fly around the oceans, basically, and figure out what the shape of the land masses are and where might be a suitable place to put our power plant and our mega base, where we're going to have enough space. And this is going to take a while, so I'm going to do the whole thing off camera, and then we'll take a look at what the planet looks like when I'm done. So after quite a bit of flying around, this is what our planet looks like. It is circular in nature, how about that, but still seems to be flat. There are quite a few actual islands to be found, and there are several land masses which are connected by narrow little bottlenecks. As expected, all of these land masses where we might want to put our base or our power plants, they have a little bit of an alien infestation problem. So, in order to deal with all those aliens, we have a few options of weapons we can use. First one I'm going to try is the atomic bomb, and to make atomic bombs we need a whole lot of uranium-235 we're going to process with Covarex. We need way more processing than we're currently doing. This was just a startup setup to get us enough of the light green uranium-235, so when we wanted to do more, we would have enough to seed the future production. And now is the time where we want to do that. So I have a design for a nuclear reactor we're going to use, and I've also designed an area to process all the uranium we're going to need to make the fuel cells. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make a copy of this blueprint so we can modify it without losing the original, which we're going to need later when we make our giant nuclear power plant. For our purposes here, we just want the Covarex to get us a lot of uranium-235, the light green uranium, so we can make some atomic bombs. So we don't need these reactors here. We don't need the belts leading the fuel cells to the reactors and the spent lines back to the reactors. We'll get rid of those. We can also get rid of all the landfill because we're going to be building on the land, and we can get rid of these guys processing spent fuel cells. So, there we go. Now we'll just reseed the production, and that doesn't look like nearly enough production. I think we need to scale that up quite a bit. So, after a little bit of tinkering, I have expanded the processing, and then expanded it again, and then expanded it again. We've also added modules and beacons to our mining operation, and we've speeded everything up and added higher level belts where we needed them, and balancers and all that kind of stuff. We should now be producing enough uranium-235 to make a little bit more than one atomic bomb per minute. And that's pretty good. I think that's going to do for what we want to do. I've also automated the delivery of the sulfuric acid so we can continue mining up the uranium. Up to this point, I had sort of had to babysit it, but now it's totally automated, getting delivered from our starter base. And I've also set up a little train to send the uranium-235 and also potentially when I want it, the dark uranium, the 238, we can send both of those to the starter base to get processed. Let's head back to the base. In fact, we can even, instead of using our jetpack, which we use pretty much all the time to get around, let's take a train. Let me get in the train first before I tell it where to go. We are just going to go to, I think, the light green drop, which is where the train sitting there is intended for. We're just going to zip around to show you where that uranium is in relation to the starter base. It is to the north and the west. A lot of these starter trains aren't even being used because we had enough ore nearby. And I've just added these little stops on top of our starter base, just wherever they would go. This whole base, here, let me pick that up. We don't need to use that again. This whole base is going bye-bye as soon as we're ready to make our mega base, and as soon as we have the power to power it with our nuclear power. So we're added some stuff, which is going to be a little bit messy. In order to produce the stuff, we need to make those things. One thing we're going to need is a lot of landfill, so I've added some landfill producers here, and they're being fed by this big ore patch, which is mostly just doing nothing. We're going to need a lot of raw supplies for the mega base, so I've had a stockpile created here to accumulate some belts, and also the landfill. We'll probably add more chests to this as we go. And I've also collected some rocket silos and landing pads. And for the nuclear power plant, I have added some storage chests for the things we'll need to make the nuclear power plant, like these steam turbines. And then up here on the other side, I've got a bigger buffer chest for some nuclear reactors and the other different things. I think we may need to add some extra chests. So while we wait for those atomic bombs to stockpile, we need to add some extra power to our network. I have added all those modules and beacons to our uranium mining right here, and all of these centrifuges are running non-stop, also with modules and beacons. And I've added an entire extra ore patch of stone, and this time we're using the big mining drills, which have 5 spaces for productivity modules. They're all beaconed. And that was just a little bit too much power. It crashed a little bit. We need to add a little bit more. So we're going to add a few more of these steam power blueprints we've been using since the beginning of this series. And good place to put it is right by the source of the oil next to the shoreline for the steam. So now we have 2 extra modules of steam power up and running. They have just finished saturating the belts with the solid fuel, which is getting burnt in the boilers, which is heating the water, making steam, generating power. Each one of these modules makes 220 megawatts or so of power net. So we have an additional 440 megawatts now. And hopefully that's enough. Hopefully we don't have to deal with any more steam power, and we can coast by on what we currently have until we're ready to set up the nuclear power and blow these guys right out of the water. I've plugged the stone back in. All of our machines are running. Our power is stable. And now I think it's time we do a little blasting. Okay, so I've got about 200 atomic bombs. Let's see how they do. Hey, aliens, wake up. Time for breakfast. There's your breakfast, aliens. Boom! So I've done a ring around the island now, and the nukes are doing a great job of killing the nests and the worms, but they are not doing a great job of killing the bugs. Sometimes, I guess, if you hit them dead on, they will kill them, but I think some of them are just walking right through the nuke. Let's do some little tests here. Yeah, that guy didn't get hit by the center of the blast, and he is a little bit over half health, looks like. The colossal bugs, colossal spitters, the ones that are green, have some resistance to the nukes, which is not what I was expecting, to be honest. Last time I used nukes was probably a few years ago at this point. Oh, hello, autosave. Last time I used nukes was quite a while ago. It was back before they introduced artillery. I guess they've been nerfed over time. And in addition, I think this mod pack also has a combat overhaul submod as part of the mod pack. So that might be influencing things. I don't know where the changes occurred, but the nukes are not going to be the one-stop shop I thought they were going to be for exterminating all the bugs from the island. I might try to kill all the bugs just on this one island, just to see how many nukes it would take as a kind of benchmark for our future endeavors. Alright, let's see if I can do this without dying. Here we go. Oh, okay. You're gonna bite me? Okay, flying away, flying away, flying away. Oh boy. Oh boy, that was a kind of a tight one. That was a close call. That was a close call. Yeah, some of them are walking through even 2 nukes because they're just not getting hit center mass enough, I guess. This guy, I guess, we'll just finish off with my uranium round machine gun. Special delivery. Okay, aliens. Boom! Okay, yeah, center mass. If you get them at the very center of the blast, that seems to be the most effective. Got most of those guys. And if I want to finish these dudes off with my machine gun... Oh, this might take a while. So that took about 100 atomic bombs. If you remember from our peace treaty, the fine print specified that we now control the island. And it didn't say which island, so this may as well be the island. It's now our island anyway. It's not a very big island. It's actually the smallest big island near me. That took 100 nukes. Yeah, we can't do that entirely with nukes. That's going to be too slow. So option number 2, supplement with these guys. But I'm afraid that our range is not going to be very good because we can't research anything else until we go back in space. And I would like to have the stuff on the ground done before we go back into space and get into all that. Based on the limited research that's available to us, we've only got a plus 60% range to our artillery. Yeah, I was worried about that. Not very good range. Barely exceeds our current landmass. And if we create a targeting remote to do it manually... Okay, that might be a little bit better. We might be able to place some emplacements on these little limited islands. And if we're going to do that, I guess that means we need a delivery service to deliver the artillery shells to our localized artillery outposts. So, for our delivery system, we're going to use a cargo rocket to send artillery shells to little artillery outposts on little islands around the bigger islands that we are trying to take over for ourselves because the treaty says, hey, we control the island, so we may as well control every island, right? What's the difference? I don't think there's a difference. Artillery shell is going to land in the landing pad, and then they'll get distributed to the artillery cannons. We need to rename the landing pad to just something so the cargo rocket knows where to send the stuff. We'll just call it artillery for now, simple enough. They'll get distributed there. We need a little bit of extra space to take out the... We need to take out the space capsule and the cargo rocket parts, which we are going to pack into cargo rocket section packed, which is what it's called. Compresses them 5 to 1, which will be good because I don't want to set up an entire rocket return system, which is going to make this a lot bigger than I need it to be. We need it to be small and compact. Periodically, I will have to fly up to these things and pick up the stuff that is stored, the space capsule and the packed cargo rocket parts. We will have a filter inserter here to filter out the space capsule. And then we'll have a machine here that is going to compress the parts, 5 cargo rocket sections into 1 cargo rocket section parked or packed or whatever. And then that needs to go to a container. Maybe we can fit a bigger container. Around the edges, we'll put some substations, and then we just need to try to fit some solar panels and accumulators, just enough to keep this thing operational on its own. All it needs to power are the inserters and that assembly machine. That's why I'm using assembly machine 2, not assembly machine 3, because it uses less power. So for the cargo rocket delivery, we need a new cargo rocket silo. We're going to have it deliver to any landing pad with name. And we're going to select the artillery one. We'll just have it disabled for now. We will need a requester chest to request some cargo rocket sections and also the capsule. So we'll put some inserters on those. We'll tell this one to please request one of those capsules at a time. That should be plenty. And we'll tell this guy to request some cargo rocket parts. We'll just tell it to do like 20 or so. Then we need to put some conditions on these wires. So let's go ahead and do that. That'll disable them. I should have done that already. We want this thing to be enabled only if there is not already a space capsule in there. So we want that to say -1. Only do that if there's less than one already in there. It only fits one. We want it to have one, but only one. Otherwise, it's going to fill up with space capsules, and that's no good. And this one, we want to do the same thing. Let me put the number in first. We want this one to only allow space capsules or space parts or whatever, the cargo rocket parts. If there's less than 100, which is what it takes to build a rocket, we have less than 100, so that's going to go ahead and build. Then we will set up some additional chests for 4 is probably going to be enough. Or 5? Yeah, let's do 5. Why not? Set up some additional chests for the artillery. And we're going to hook those up to the silo as well. Chain all those together. And we want those to only put the artillery shells, the payload, into... Let's see what I'm looking for. We want them only to load stuff into the cargo rocket if the rocket is already built. So I'm going to put that to =1. This is a signal that is part of the mod pack. And this means if this equals 1, that the rocket is built and it's ready to launch as soon as you tell it to launch. And looks like there it goes. Looks like it's going to be ready soon. And then in this one, we will... Oh my god, it's so loud. I forgot how loud this is. We will tell it to request artillery shells. And just say, put like 20 in each of these containers or so. Because they don't stack. And we will copy-paste these. What this does, setting the inserters up like this, it prevents the cargo rocket from filling up entirely with payload before it's actually finished being built. So we already have the cargo rocket sections 100 out of 100 in there. It's ready to accept the cargo. But if that happened in the other order and you filled all the inventory spaces here with the artillery shells, it wouldn't be able to load the cargo rockets because they have to go in the inventory first and then it sort of eats them and adds them to this number over here. So we will just make sure all of those have the right information. We'll copy paste the chests, shift right click, shift left click. And then we also need, in addition, we need some liquid rocket fuel. So we'll just provide that, I guess. There we go. We should be good to go. In addition, I also needed to increase the manufacturing capacity of the artillery shells themselves. I also started making more cargo rocket sections. And one last thing, I set up some requester chests that each one has the required ingredients to place one of the outposts out around the bigger islands. Okay, so it's time to deploy the first artillery outposts. We are on this tiny little island, which is off the shore of this larger island, which is to the south of our island. And due to the terms of the treaty, all islands, or the island, which I guess means all islands, belong to me. So these guys are violating the peace treaty, and I will be held responsible for what's about to happen. So we have a landing pad on the ground, but I think the silo's not set up to automatically launch to it yet. So what we need to do, we need to hit N to go into the navigation satellite screen mode. We need to zoom back up to our base, and we need to configure some settings on that silo. Now that we have a landing pad on the ground, it will be able to find that name from the list in the drop-down. Here we go. All right, here's our rocket silo. We want it to launch on cargo full. Any landing pad with name. Artillery. Oh, it's launching already. It was already set up on that, I guess. There it goes. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Or I guess I should be saying hello, because it's about to show up here. And that is going to launch to any landing pad, either on this planet or anywhere else in the system. Anywhere I've got a satellite that can see it. It's going to launch. And it's already landed. We have automated artillery delivery. Let's see how it does. Well, this is nice. If only it could be like this the whole time, and I wouldn't have to manually aim it after they clear out the immediate circle. Yeah, get wrecked. Worms. Oh, sorry. Sorry. It's not me. It's those artillery guys. I don't know why you're shooting at me. Oh, okay, they already killed all of the worms and the nests right there. And they're going to hit everything within that circle, and then after that, I got to do it myself. Nice. Okay, here we go. Let's just scribble. Scribble on the screen a little bit. Scribble on the screen. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's glorious. It is glorious. That is a lot of artillery that I am using up on that little scribble. What a sight to behold. Look at that. If only they were actually hitting everything I was telling them to shoot at. I think just blindly scribbling is probably going to be a massive waste of resources, and what we're going to have to do is be methodical about it and try to click each thing individually. That's probably going to be faster in the long run than doing that scribbling. I'm missing all kinds of stuff when I do the scribbling. Now that the artillery revealed the area beneath it, because each artillery shell has a radar in it, we can do some pinpoint precision accurate aiming. I just have to click every single time. And then after we clear out all the bases, all the worms, we'll have to come back in. And I guess I'll have to use the nukes to kill all the bugs. Hey, bugs. There you go, bugs. Oh, you walked right through it. Okay, I'm just gonna spin you right round, baby, right round. Okay, quick, click all the bases. Click all the bases quickly. It's been taking about 2 hits for each worm, minimum. Sometimes 3 for the really big ones. Try to click on them double. Reveal some more, click on more. It's a race against time until the radar the little temporary radar wears off. And we are left with a massive pile of bugs that I'll have to go clean up. Quick, click. Click, quick, quick, click, 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 very quick. Your days are numbered, worms. You are officially on an island, which I think was a poor decision on your part. Oh, did I run out? Damn. That didn't take long. Skadoosh. Skadoosh. They're still coming. Skadoosh. I got him. Okay, 3 nukes took out 1 group. This might take a little while. A little bit longer than I initially thought it would take. Is there still aliens there? Yes. Yeah, there is. Boom! So anyway, I think you get the idea. Rinse and repeat, a slow but steady process of exterminating the treaty violators. I have pushed up this large continent. I started down here at the bottom and just made my way northward, and we've got all the way up to here, up to this point. Going to establish a bottleneck right around here. And I think the megabase is probably going to go somewhere on this landmass. We started, I think, with something like 6.2 or 6.3 million uranium ore in this ore patch, so I've used well over 1 million uranium ore making nukes. But in the process, we've freed up enough area that I've discovered way more ore patches than that. There's 4.5 million right there. And there's more scattered around. There's 2.4 million. And there's some other examples. There's all kinds of ore around here. There's a bunch of oil. Here's 33 million copper or whatever. So I think that about does it for this episode. I've got some stockpiled chests with everything we need to make the megabase. And I've stockpiled the materials to make the nuclear reactor, which is going to be gigantic in its own right. All this stuff, I think, is pretty much done. So I think that about wraps it up. That's going to be the end of the episode. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.